Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories most creepy and most pasta. Tonight we've got Out in the Woods. So, for those of you just joining us, the show discusses CreepyPasta, which are scary campfire story-like stories on the internet. That get copied and pasted across the internet, and so the term for them became copy pasta, and then the creepy ones became creepypasta. So, Out in the Woods is actually August's of 2014. Their pasta of the month for creepypasta.wiki. So if you'd like to check it out, go to creepypasta.wiki and we'll wait. All right, and. So now that you're back, let's just dive right into it. The first bit of the story is actually a little bit of a note saying that the person that wrote the story on the wiki isn't actually the original writer, but actually an editor of sorts. He liked the story, which he got off of 4chan's X.
Well, I mean,
Red.
He's literally just copied and pasted it.
Exactly,
So...
following the tradition of the And he liked the story and just thought it could be edited a little bit more. So he edited it. And the original guy went by the name Prozac 101, or girl, as the story goes. And so we kind of just go into it. It's kind of like it's a retelling of like a supposed event that happened in this person's childhood.
A series of events.
Yeah. And it takes place on Halloween. Or like the guy or the person... posts it on 4chan on Halloween to get the scary story stuff in. So it starts off the girl is explaining that she used to live in this really creepy house, or really kind of oppressive house in the woods with her mother, and they had some weird occurrences kind of happen to it. And the first one that really kind of came to mind for her was when she would skip school during the week and go and just kind of hang around the house all day because she didn't really want to go to school. She just wanted to go out and play because she was a rambunctious, rebellious kid. But the house was kind of oppressive, so she'd spend most of the day out in the woods, particularly a set of arcing trees that had fallen over on each other.
Well, one had fallen over on the other.
And so she'd climb up as far as she would her fears and whatnot would allow, and then she'd just kind of sit there and listen to the birds and whatnot all day. And then the one day she's doing that, and she starts hearing a voice down on the on the forest floor, calling up to her, and she kind of gets kind of nervous and creeped out about it. She kind of climbs up a little bit higher, and then the voice continues again. She tries to lean over to see if she can get another closer look, or to see if anybody's down there. She can't really see anybody. And then, like, right in her face practically, there's a voice that's just shouting. It's like, come on down, or I'm going to come up there and get you. So, suffice to say, for a good couple of hours, she just kind of stays up there at the top of this tree, these two trees, and just kind of waits there and cries and is... otherwise terrified until her mom comes home and goes looking for her, and then it kind of jumps ahead to another event where she used to grab firewood for the house, and she'd choose around dusk when the fog would roll in, or like the mosquitoes would get you, and she's gone to grab her last load of logs and whatnot, and goes to the shed. And then the fog is coming full circle, and that's when she realizes that she gets lost in the fog, and she can't find her way back to the house. So she's looking around. She finds these, but then she finds these pink signs, or pink like Post-its almost, on trees with green arrows on them, and nervously and cautiously she proceeds to follow those. And she goes through, just weaving through trees and looking for these pink signs. Eventually she finds one with a happy face on it, and she looks around for another one and finds one, but she can't really, she's from a distance, but so she just decides to look from there, and it says something written on it, and then it terrifies her because it has her name on it. And so she's just wants to get out of there, and she just bolts and runs in one direction, getting scraped up and whatnot, and eventually gets to the house, where she fumbles through the keys, opens up the door, runs to her bed, and she's hiding under her blankets. Then we move to the next account, where it's actually her mom had this account. Apparently, while she was sleeping over at a friend's house, she got a series of weird texts from her mom saying, "Are you home? What kind of are you playing a prank on me?" And that kind of proceeds through the early part of the evening. And then she gets one at 3:00 in the morning saying, "Go straight to your grandmother's house in the morning. Don't you dare go to the house." And so she proceeds to go in the morning to her grandmother's house, where her mom's there, and her mom is just utterly terrified of something, but trying to hide it. So, when her grandmother goes to sleep that night, the mother tells her the story of what happened. Apparently, while she was doing her magazine work, she heard a rap on the window, went to check it out, and she saw like pebbles and stones being tossed at the window from the dark part of the woods. And she tries to look into the wood. She tries to look farther into the woods, and that's around where the stones are coming from. And she could swear she sees a figure that looks like her daughter, but she's like smiling really widely and kind of creepily, and then apparently talking to somebody just behind a tree or something, presumably the person throwing the rocks, and just really creepy, like fast talking, it seems. And then she this goes on for a little bit, and then she her head, the other daughter, or the weird daughter, suddenly looks at her and then points and laughs hysterically, and she just kind of freaks out and goes up to her daughter's room and hides, and just kind of stays there praying and hearing stones being tossed at the window again. But then she hears this weird noise and looks to the closet that's slightly open, and sees this pale face that is talking like way too fast, or in whispers, and the door starts to creak open more and more, and she just kind of loses it. Bolts out of the bed, bolts through the door, gets down to her car, starts it up, and just drives away. And as she's driving away, she's looking through the rear view window, and she sees up in the bedroom window where of her daughter's room, there's two human figures. One of them is very similar to her daughter, and then this other figure, and they're both just like smiling really widely, and again, ultimately creepily. And then she goes, she's gone. She goes to the grandmother's place, and then tells her daughter to go to the grandmother's place after, and that's the end. She never goes to that house again. So the daughter and the father, who apparently doesn't live with them, lives somewhere in another state, comes out and helps her get all their stuff in the house and maybe check it out a little quickly. And they do find rocks that have gone through the windows, and while the father is out in the woods just taking a pee, he sees a swing set that's been set up on the two arcing trees, and goes and asks the daughter, and the daughter is kind of disturbed by this because that has never been there, that swing set, and it apparently was set up within a week of them not being at the house. So the story kind of ends about there, with her just kind of the next paragraph or so, the end paragraphs, talking about her like musing about finding out that her grandmother sold the place to a new family, and they had a young boy, and every so often she'll muse about like what's happening right now there, like what is there something creepy still going on there, and da 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 da. And then the story kind of ends there with that like dun dun dun. So that's the story, very briefly synopsized, essentially.
There's nothing brave about that.
Rundown. I really enjoyed the story personally. I thought it was a good ghost story, or a good like kind of realistic ghost story. Like it, I mean, my what's the word? Belief or suspension of disbelief did not go off, or did not like pull me out of the story at all. When I read it for the first time last week, it was a genuinely creepy vibe going through my head, and I liked it. I loved it. Like it wasn't like too disturbing, but it was a nice little creepy feeling. Now Leviathan might share a different view.
It was fine. It just wasn't. I didn't get creeped out by it. You know, it just nothing happened. You know what I mean?
Well, nothing seriously happened to them. But I mean, like there was some paranormal, some kind of, well, maybe not paranormal activity, but there's some like subtle activity going on.
But nothing really happened. I mean, honestly, all that happened was some windows got broke.
Okay.
Everything, like, it just, there was no danger, so there was no suspense, so there was no fucks for me to give.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? Like,
I can see where you're going. Yeah. I just didn't really.
Like
I don't really share that. Like
I understand the terror of a small child. Like
yeah.
When I was, a kid, I had, some things where I was terrified, and it was nothing. But I can't go back there and feel the same thing.
Well, I wasn't like terrified of the story, but I got like an almost, I guess it would almost be like a nostalgic feel for like reading a mild ghost story. Like I got like the familiarity of, because I think it might be because I mean I have heard a lot of ghost stories in my day, and I've loved like that's like those like they kind of creeped me out when I was a kid. So we're coming back to reading something that was similar. I really enjoyed it, but then that's me, and you have your own view on it. So
well, yeah, and I mean I am apparently in quite the minority here because I mean it's past of the month.
Yeah, there was a couple. Although there were a couple
the
of comments
on it are like
for the most part
98% positive.
Yeah, and even the ones that aren't, they're just like, well, it's not much of a scary pasta. It was well written, but
yeah, and I say the exact same thing. I mean, it was well written. There's certainly nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. I read it and I was like, well, that's a thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, I can see where you're going, but I don't know. I liked the ghost stories, so.
I like the ghost stories too, typically, but this one just
didn't do it for you.
Yeah, it wasn't for me. It's, it's a matter of opinion, and, mine's the unpopular opinion. I'm, if you look at the rest of the evidence, I'm wrong.
Well, you're not wrong. You're just you have a different view on the.
Yeah.
You have a different opinion on the story. The writing was fantastic with this one too. Like it was definitely better than what we've had in the recent episodes.
Well,
for ones that are supposed to be like the most popular online.
Exactly. And I think a good reason of that is because we can say with fair certainty that, this one got 2 drafts.
Yeah. The guy even mentions right off the bat, a note, that I am not the original writer. I just edited the original post.
Yeah.
So
See what that does?
yeah, it makes it a lot more mechanically appealing.
Exactly. It just, it turns it into, something more.
It makes it readable, or more readable.
Just proves what I've been saying
the whole
every
episode.
damn episode, and I'm sure people are sick of hearing from me, but,
Well, we've got a fair amount of listens, so people keep listening, so...
Here's the proof, this is a good pasta, and, the story's fine, it flows fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
You're never lost and confused in this.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what's going on.
Yeah, you have a set timeline. Like, they don't, like... Although the last paragraph does mention something that, I don't know, I just found kind of confusing, where she says that her grandmother has just, like... She says it's been a couple of years, like, been a while. Her grandmother has just sold the house shortly after them leaving it. So I kind of like... What?
No.
Yeah, does it not say that? Okay, so I remember reading it. It was just like kind of getting confused by...
Nope. She doesn't say that it was recently after the event.
For when the grandmother sold the house.
No. She says she recently sold the house.
And then read after that.
And I just read it. And...
Okay, I just remember reading it and getting like kind of...
okay. Yeah, shortly after we moved out. But
yeah. So, like, was that like...
It's not like she said that this happened 12 years ago.
Fair enough.
At no point does she ever say, this happened so many years ago.
This is true.
She's, when she was a little girl, when she was a little older,
and then when they left.
What happened to her mom.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's really the one... Really, for me, it's the one thing that just kind of confused me. It didn't really, like, ruin the story for me, though. That I personally just got confused.
And I just explained it to you.
Exactly.
Fine,
so I'll just leave now.
Well,
yeah.
It's another thing. Like, I didn't like it. I'm in the minority. You got confused by that. You're probably in the minority.
Yeah.
Like...
We're all in the minority.
Exactly. Everyone's a minority.
The other thing is that, like, apparently this is categorized as mental illness.
Meh.
I don't know. It's just,
you put things under more categories, and it
just gets
read by more people.
Maybe.
Honestly, it's marketing.
Fair enough. Yeah,
I mean,
that's 100%.
Have you ever looked through the categories on Netflix?
Yeah.
There are usually some pretty ridiculous things in there.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, it's just a matter of
marketing.
Exactly.
And advertising. It's what we try.
You want to get it seen by as many people as possible, and by putting it under categories that maybe it fits under, maybe not.
It's kind of drawing the line, but you know what? Let's throw it in there.
Exactly. It worked. It got it to CreepyPasta of the month. So, I mean...
It worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'd be interested to see, like, maybe we should start doing a few more of the pastas of the month. Like, no? You're like, what? Shaking your head on
I've seen what a lot of people like.
Fair enough. You've gazed into the abyss.
Yeah. Jeff the Killer was retarded.
Oh, man, you should, like... I typed in creepypasta the other day. Off a slight tangent. A creepypasta on DeviantArt the other day. And, like, 75% of them, when they weren't Slenderman, they're fucking Jeff the Killer. Just illustrations and drawings and stuff like that of people, like, drawing, like, him looking really creepy and or stuff. Or making him really, like, cute and weird. Like, weirdly cute. It's like, really? Like, why is the fan base this much? But, again, tangent. Anyway, back to this story. Back to a better...
Wasn't me this time, audience.
I like Jeff the Killer as a monster. I just don't like... I don't know, the story didn't make any goddamn sense.
Exactly, but that's why the art's there, because,
the killers, the image is cool.
As a entity, Jeff the Killer works. As an origin story, it doesn't.
Yes. Much like the Rink, but we're going away from that one. Back to...
I've already...
Yeah, I've
actually cleansed my mind of the Rink.
Okay. You've already won that battle, sir.
It wasn't a battle. It was a debate, and you, at the end of it, you agreed with me.
Yeah. For the story.
Exactly.
Anywho, I'm sorry to tangent.
I'm just glad it wasn't me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not a whole lot else to say for this one for me. Like I said, the reason I like the story is because it's a nice, relatively simplistic ghost story, at least in my mind, and it was well written, as we can both agree on. Anything else you'd like to propose for it, or?
Honestly, no. I can't even, I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it. I would actually genuinely recommend this to people just because I can admit when my opinion is not the popular one. Mm-hmm. This one seems to be really well liked, and it is at the very least well written. And again, I don't have any real problem with it. I just didn't like the story myself.
Yeah.
But everyone else did. Again, well crafted, well put together.
Edited.
Edited. It, it's a straight line. It makes sense. And if this was someone's first pasta, it would leave a very good impression on them for the rest.
Yeah, exactly.
So that,
It's
when they read a Russian sleep experiment or Jeff the Killer, they'd keep reading different ones because this one's
Still
out in the
good.
woods was good.
Yeah. Also, something of note for this one, I actually went on YouTube to look to see if there was a reading of it, as it seems to be the very popular thing to do with creepypastas. There is, not by any of the ones that we've seen before, but by a YouTube channel known as The Watcher. And he has about a 26-minute video that is fairly well done.
So, who watches The Watcher? You watch The Watcher?
Actually, I think that's even part of his freaking little shtick on his intro. Is something to do with like that. But, yeah, he's got a really nice, he's got a good reading voice, and he adds a little bit of ambient, creepy music to it, so... yeah, if you want to listen to this story rather than read it, on your way, while you're doing something on the computer, I would recommend going to the Watcher YouTube channel. We'll have it on the show notes and whatnot. When this gets posted. So, and hey, yeah, we're speaking of that, we're now on iTunes and we're now on YouTube. So you can stream it from YouTube or you can stream it from iTunes. You can subscribe. That would very much help us out. You could review us on iTunes, which would be awesome. And other than that, we're on Kiwi and Tumblr and Twitter. So for Twitter, just look up Review Cultist. And I'm the correspondent for Dente Rigamortis. So, and yeah, like Dr. Leviathan said, I would definitely recommend this to anybody. I would recommend them to read around Halloween because that's how it was originally posted to be fair. Also, if you like creepy stories that take place in the woods, because I think that's the other thing that kind of got why I liked it so much is because I had some familiarity with that because I live out in the woods. And
I grew up out in the woods too. I would honestly, there were woods out near where I grew up. I would also probably say, if you read this, don't be doing too many other things. I mean, I was watching a movie, so that may have been why it didn't really have the effect on me, because I'm sorry, if one thing is going to scare me, either out in the woods or the assassin from No Country for Old Men, yeah, it's gonna be him, because, man,
Voices in the Woods.
I would rather, sleep, under the stars in those woods than have a 5-second conversation with that man.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so really it was just like you need to kind of you gotta have an environment that's good for reading a creepy story. Or,
most any ghost story, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that was the case, but I'm saying that may have been what happened with me.
May or may not.
But, yeah.
Alright. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty short one then. But it's creepypasta. They're short stories, and we didn't hate this one, and we didn't we fairly enjoyed this one for the most part, and you just didn't care otherwise. But
I'm neutral on
Yeah.
it, but this is one of those times where I'll concede to the masses and say, you know what, that many people saying something good, and I can't really say anything bad about it.
the soapbox can stay in the corner.
It's got to be all right.
Okay. All right. Then yeah, we both recommend it. Go check it out. And as always, if you liked what you heard on the show, you can check it out, or you can send us send us a comment on the YouTubes, or send us a review on iTunes. Just post a comment wherever there's a spot for it around our podcast. Or you can email us at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. Where you can also send us suggestions. We haven't really been getting anything for suggestions, but you could be the first. Either send it to that, or either send it to the email, or send it to my Twitter. I check it regularly, both of them. So, yeah. Until next time, I'm your host, Review Cultist.
And I'm Dr. Leviathan.
And this has been El Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.